say that the community has been amazing. A number of family foundations that have joined in and have worked with us in order to create our strategies and tell us what they think. But also, we're not just working with Batten disease families and Batten disease foundations. We're working with the American Academy of Neurology, the largest professional organization for pediatric neurologists and neurologists in the world. We're working with the American Brain Foundation. We're working with Brains for Brain, the European Task Force on Lysosomal Storage Disease. We're working with the Alzheimer's Drug Discovery Foundation. These are all actively participating groups that have said, yes, we're going to work together. We're working with the International Rett Syndrome Foundation, and we're working with the Huntington's Disease Foundation. So we really are able to mobilize these communities, and they're really working with us. And we're able to capitalize on what they do best, as well as they're working with us to help us do what we do best. Some of the things that we've also done have to do with the mechanics of BDSRA. So I did want to take some time to let you know some of the changes. Usually at this particular conference, we take the time to announce our funding. And we're not going to do that this year, but it's not for a bad reason. We're not going to announce the funding because we've expanded the scientific merit review process. We've added in a number of other improvements and elements, and we're using those to drive forward. And so it's going to take a little bit more time than the usual process. We have a stellar standing scientific advisory board. Many of those members are here today. We've built upon that board in the current scientific merit review process by bringing in outside experts so that we have the perspective of those individuals, and we have key expertise that we don't presently have on our board or in our proposal system, so that we're all working together. We created an enhanced application process. Our application process always asked whether or not the proposal was scientifically meritorious. Was it good science? But we added in a number of elements that said, you know what, not all Batten disease research is equal. Tell us whether or not what we're looking at in this proposal has therapeutic potential, because no one in this room cares to know anything about Batten disease other than that. So we don't need to be scientists. We don't need to know everything about the disease. We're only interested in stopping it. So we wanted to add those elements into the application process, but also add them into the review process. We increased the reviewer participation. One of the added advantages of expanding the reviewer participation process and increasing the number of individuals from other fields is that it naturally is a recruiting process as well. We already have applications from individuals who normally study Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and so they're coming on board to take a look at Batten disease as well. We have a special solicitation this time around where we offered investigators something called an FDA expertise consultant grant. What we know from our academic scientists is many of them have phenomenal, fantastic ideas, but they need help taking those ideas from where they are through the regulatory process so that we can actually get into a clinic. It's a different kind of science than what one does in the lab. Understanding all of the pieces and parts one must go through in order to get into a clinical trial can be a completely different science in and of itself. And what we don't want is we don't want our molecular biologists spending all of their time trying to learn this when we can pull in an expert that already knows it. So we offered applicants this opportunity as well. But one of the big things that you're going to see this time around is we completely changed the format, the scientific format of what we bring you. So first of all, we brought you a video, so we thought you might like the video. But we also are changing our podium presentation style into a poster session. And the reason that we were doing that is we were doing a really good job of showing you who was BDSRA funded. But we don't have and haven't in the past had time to fund everybody or the ability to fund everybody. But we did want to show you that there's a lot of work going on around the world that is not necessarily BDSRA funded, but you know, we'll take it, whoever funds it. So we wanted to show you some of the stellar science that's happening everywhere. We couldn't do it in podium presentations. So we are going to, tomorrow from 10 to 12, offer you a poster session, even though that poster session will actually be up all day long. You can go in any time. But from 10 to 12 tomorrow, there will be a manned poster session where, like an art gallery, you can go around and you can see the different kind of research that's happening around the world. And we also changed the format of it so that we can give you what you need and you can follow it. This right here is the prototype that we're using. Now, if you look on the left-hand side, there's an introduction. All the posters look the same. So on the left-hand side of every poster is an introduction to that research. And it's not an introduction to an individual project because it can be difficult to see how an individual project is moving things forward. It's an introduction to that laboratory, so you can start understanding who does what. And in the middle, those are the projects going on in that laboratory. Just a soundbite of what they're doing. On the top, there's contact information and emails to contact those investigators, so if you're interested in contacting them, please do. And on the right-hand side, what it means for therapy. Much of what we do is to investigate the molecular basis of disease. So it can be very difficult to understand why someone is studying what they're studying and how that's going to get us where we want to go. So that particular section is designed for that. But it's also color-coded. All of the infantile NCL, all the infantile posters are in this light blue. All of the late infantile posters are in green. And there's going to be a key outside the door, so you have to remember this. All of the variant late posters are in purple. All of the juvenile posters are in red. All of the adult posters are in gray. So if you're only interested in a particular Batten disease, because we've heard you, several families have said in the last two conferences, please separate the Batten disease because I'm only interested in my form. I don't understand when you show me different forms. And so it's important to know that scientifically it's all connected. And the more we learn about one, the more we learn about another. But for this particular purpose, this is what we do. And one of the most exciting things I get to do today is I get to introduce investigators, because we did take the time to bring you 3 podium presentations this morning. And that is because science is slow, it's frustrating, but I can tell you in the next 3 presentations you're going to see some exciting results that are relevant to treatment that are emerging just in this last year. So I think that if you're going to take a break, don't take it in these next 3 presentations. You'll be very sorry. So the next 3 presenters, the first presenter is Dr. Chuck O'Neill from BioMarin. And Dr. O'Neill is going to talk about some upcoming results in late infantile Batten disease. But those results may be methodologically relevant for infantile disease. So we've got infantile and late infantile. Dr. Augustine is going to give us an update on the mycophenolate trial. So there's juvenile. And we have a new investigator that many of you have not met before, Dr. Marco Sardiello from Texas Children's. Dr. Sardiello is going to talk about his work, and although he's going to show direct relevance to juvenile Batten disease, his findings may have relevance, therapeutic relevance, to all forms of Batten disease. So I have to say, if you're going to take a break, don't take it in these next 3 presentations. And one thing while Dr. O'Neill is coming up here, I'd like the scientific advisory board that's present and the medical advisory board that's present to stand up, and if we have other investigators in the room as well, because during the poster session tomorrow, if you have any questions, these are the folks that you want to tap on the shoulder and ask your questions to. And it doesn't have to be their poster. They are very well versed and they understand the science that's in the room. They really do. So if I can have the scientific advisory board and the medical advisory board stand up, and as well as the other investigators in the room, if you're not on the board but you'll be available for questions, that would be wonderful. So Dr. Hoffman I see, Dr. Sardiello. Okay, we've got quite a few people. So remember their faces. These folks are going to be running around the poster session. If you have any questions on anything, please tap them on the shoulder And one other thing that we have is we have something called a concept poster. All of the NCLs are going to be color-coded, but all of the rainbow posters are designed to give you a little bit of information about a concept. What is a stem cell? What the heck is a stem cell? What is gene therapy? What is inflammation in the brain? Just a bit of information that you may want to take with you in order to understand the other concepts. Dr. O'Neill?